Welcome back to the Open Wheel Offline League Season number 4. We're here at Aragon for Race 4 of Season 4, and the grid was set yesterday. As we get ready to go, we're back in Spain for the first time in 2 seasons. Our simulated grid is a little bit off than what we're usually expecting, so let's go from back to the front as we usually do. So qualified last, he's going to be starting in the last row. This is the third time he's qualified in last. It is going to be Mahavir Raghunathan, not where he wanted, but he's going to be deep in the field. 23rd was his teammate Ethan Martz, going to be up alongside him. Then 22nd was Miles Rowe. He's only going to move up one row on the simulated grid. Chet Jordan, 21st, disappointing. But he has done pretty good in the races compared to qualifying, so we're going to have to see if he can move forward. 20th, Brennan Hubbard, and just due to pure unluckiness, he's going to be relegated to last place. 19th, Benjamin Peterson, a struggle in qualifying compared to Suzuka last time out. 18th, Marcus Armstrong, he's only going to move up one spot from there. 17th, Lindsay Brewer, she's getting a big boost, going to be starting in P12. So hopefully she makes the most of this big benefit that she was given. Teammate Alessia Deletta, not as lucky. Qualified 16th, going to be starting down in 19th. 15th, Catherine Legg, that'll be about where she starts. In 14th, a little bit of a disappointment for her. Also a disappointment for Ryan Priest out in round 1. P14. And then the car that did not make round 1 just by a little bit, Stingray Rob, qualified 13th, going to start 16th. Then on to your top 12, Yuki Tsunoda gonna be right next to Stingray Rob. 11th, Glubler Lore, he's gonna be a row back than where he should be. 10th, Robbie, that's gonna be about where he starts in P9. 9th, Gail Barnhart, just gonna swap places with Robbie. That was a very good effort for Barnhart. The team very happy. Now, the biggest luck, I would say, goes to Guy Gagné, qualified P8, gonna start in 2nd. So he's been given an almighty blessing, so he's going to really have to make the most of it. David Malukas, 7th. He's going to be starting about 8th. Jacob Abel, first Fast 6 appearance after not making it out of Q1. He's going to be P4. 5th was Cal Milot. He'll start P7. Connor Zilich tried taking the fight to Swindlers, but they're still difficult to beat. He's P4, going to start P6. Dorian Pin, qualified 3rd, going to start 3rd, and going to try to use that inside lane. Hasn't been able to get to her teammates, and Louis Foster, although it looked close, was not able to stack up to Shane Van Gisbergen. He'll start P5, as Van Gisbergen will be on pole and will start from the front. So let's take a look at your full grid, so you can see exactly where everyone starts. Yeah, Guy Gagné, the big beneficiary, and he's going to be quite pleased with that. The team's going to be quite pleased. As let's take a look at your weather before we start. Race takes place April 19th, so in the springtime, 8-mile-per-hour wind speed, 77 degrees, and 103 track temp. So it's pretty hot out today. Let's take a look at your track map. 18 turns. Gonna be pretty difficult to navigate one long straightaway. And what's really been important, let's take a look at these tire choices. This is Shane Van Gisbergen. He's going to be on the mediums. Guy Gagné also on the mediums. Dorian Pin on the hards. Jacob Abel on the hards. Louis Foster, first car on the softs, which have not been to everyone's liking. Zilich also going to be on the softs. Ilott on the mediums. Malukas on the softs. Let's see if he can hang on. Barnhart on the mediums, and then Robbie will be on the mediums. So a lot of cars on the mediums this time out. As Shane Van Gisbergen, he's going to have Guy Gagné to his outside. Gagné Desperately just going to try to hang on and hopefully doesn't just go straight back at the start. This is a big opportunity for him. You have to see if he takes advantage of it. Swindlers of the Immortals, 1, 2, 3, for the third time in a row in qualifying, and are easily the championship leaders in the team standings by 10 points. Viking Racing, Guy Gagné on the outside, has seemed the most able to attack these guys in qualifying, maybe not in race. Viking Racing, however, 6th, as none of their drivers have really found good consistency. Well, Gagné's found consistency, but unfortunately it's been in that 10th, that 8th to 12th range. Gagné's best result, 9th at Texas, and that was 11th at Sandown, 12th at Suzuka, but he has a good opportunity today. Again, that's just kind of how things are in the open wheel offline league. A lot of elevation change on this track. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, how that affects this race. As this is a long pace lap, so it's going to be interesting to see what that does for fuel. Maybe it warms up tires a bit more. So Foster should be the fastest car. Foster and Zillich should be the fastest. But then they are going to slow down faster. In really these first two races, it's been can you hang on one pit stop. Last race at Suzuka, there was a lot of late pit stops for drivers that came in very early and weren't able to hang on. They're going to have to see, is one stop the way to go? Is two stop the way to go? Which tires are best? Van Gisbergen, he's going to go out with what would be considered the safest option on medium tires. He was struggling to make it go all the way to the end last time out, but he saved his tires just enough to be able to make it to the end. We're going to go right in the middle with medium tires this time. All his teammates on different, once again, with Pin going to be on the hard, so she should go longer than the rest of her teammates. You've got Jacob Abel in his first Fast 6 appearance. This is going to be his best start. So he's really going to just try his best to hang on here. He's been good in the races, so hopefully a better qualifying effort can net him a better result. As now we begin the ascent up the hill, 25 laps here in Spain. First time in Spain since Jerez in Season 2. But we're here at Aragon for the first time as pace car will pull off. And Shane Van Gisbergen's going to lead us to green. Car's already jumping out in the back. Shane Van Gisbergen going to go into the first turn with Guy Gagné going to slot into second. Dorian Pin hangs on to third as we have a couple cars with issues at the back. Stingray Rob has gone around in front of the field. And are we able to settle this out as he has just plowed into Miles Rowe? Since they're all still moving, it's not considered a yellow flag just yet. Brennan Hubbard and Ethan Martz involved as Van Gisbergen now pulling away. Whenever we get a chance, we're going to try to look at that. But right now, through the first few turns, Van Gisbergen 8 temps up the road. Then it's Gagné, Pin, Abel, and Foster. As let's quickly go back and see if we can see what happened. Or maybe a different camera angle to see what exactly happened at the start. Armstrong, oh, he just kind of swung out wide, so he just kind of spun himself out. And unfortunately, that's going to leave him and a few other cars behind, and he also damaged Miles Rowe's wing. Lindsey Brewer and Catherine Legg battling side by side. This is for P13. Lindsey Brewer's already lost a spot at the start. And Catherine Legg is going to get the position as we complete the first lap. Dane Van Gisbergen off in the lead by 7 tenths. Biggest mover, Chet Jordan, up 3 spots since the start. Into 15th, biggest loser, obviously Stingray Robb. It was his best qualifying effort of the season, but not meant to be as he's going to spin himself out early. Miles Rowe's going to enter pit road. We saw Stingray Robb run into him and give him wing damage as Brendan Hubbard and Stingray Robb battle at the back. It's not been a good start to the season for Marks or Robb. Miles Rowe, he had a good run at Suzuka, but it's going to be difficult already as Guy Gagné, he's actually hanging on pretty well to Van Gisbergen. Half a second back, and they're both on the same tires, so maybe Van Gisbergen is conserving a little more. A lot of factors go into this. As Louis Foster trying to get by Jacob Abel in the back. Foster should be on the better tires. He's going to go up the inside, and he's going to clip Foster, who's going to lose a spot to Connor Zilich. As Miles Rowe's going to come out now, as Jacob Abel trying to go up the inside. Connor Zilich trying to go up the inside of Jacob Abel. He's going to get the spot, move up to P4, as David Malukas will get by Callum Eilot for 7th. Miles Rowe, he's going to be just up the road, and the leaders are starting to stack up. Dorian Pin keeping up on the hards is interesting, because realistically she shouldn't be able to. So I'd be looking at this 03, seeing what's going on here. As Miles Rowe back out. But in danger of going a lap down already. You can just look at the track map. Those cars that spun on the first lap. Look how much work they have to do. The car in 20th is about 13.5 seconds behind the leader. They are 33, so they are down by 20 seconds. As Van Gisbergen under attack from Guy Gagné. Gagné going to try to go the long way around. And side by side for the lead. Guy Gagné should not have been in this position, but he's going to be in P1 now as David Malukas moves up into 5th. But we have a lead change. Guy Gagné to the top. But is he being too aggressive on these tires as Dorian Pin now looking up the inside? Shane Van Gisbergen has not been able to convert a pole, and this was an issue that he had in Season 1 as well. Is it rearing its ugly head once again as it's now a 2-car Swindler and 2-car Viking Racing battle? Guy Gagné up at the front. 3 tenths up on Van Gisbergen. As Dorian Pin under attack from Connor Zilich, who's on the softs. But how long are his tires going to last? Side by side now. And just look at the run that Zilich is able to carry on the outside. And he's going to move into 3rd. Swindlers of the Immortals had a good start, but they're in trouble now as Van Gisbergen is in the draft going down the straightaway. He's going to look to the outside, going to try to put the same move that Gagné just put on him. Is he confident enough to hang it in the marbles? As yes, he is, but Gagné is hanging on side by side now. Van Gisbergen's going to have the run. I think he's just going to get to the line to lead that lap. And every point may matter as Jacob Abel and David Malukas battle in the background. Van Gisbergen and Gagné battle for the lead. Still side by side. Nobody willing to give it up. Gagne has the advantage on the turns, but Van Gisbergen can get the runs, and he's going to get the lead back. That was an amazing side-by-side battle as David Malukas is into 5th once again as Abel got by him. But Abel lost a spot to Foster. The Van Gisbergen may have just been playing hard to get. Ride alongside Gagne. He's all over the back of him, but can he get a run on the straightaway? You see Miles Rowe up the road. Van Gisbergen not much places to defend. And Gagne, he's going to try around the outside once again. This is an amazing battle for the lead as they're battling for second now. And Gagne is just going to be able to get ahead before we even get to the front stretch. As Connor Zilic is trying to attack. Van Gisbergen nearly tried to dive in turn 1 as Robbie is trying to get by Callum Ilott for P8. As Ilott will get by. As this is an amazing battle for the lead. These top 4 cars have gotten away and keep trading the lead. As Guy Gagne leads, but Van Gisbergen chases. He's not that far back. He could try a pass here, and he's going to try a slingshot around the outside. That was an amazing dive bomb. But is he able to hang on? No, he'll take both of them out. And Van Gisbergen's going to ramp over Guy Gagne. Oh, don't get hit. This could cause a yellow flag as contact between the leaders. Are both cars able to get back going? Yes, they are. But I think Van Gisbergen got loose and ended up tagging Gagne. Oh, man. Yeah, let's see if we can see. Yeah, Van Gisbergen just lost it. Contact with Gagne. As we got to get back to live. We have cars in pit lane. Zilic hanging on to the lead. David Malukas and Glubler have came in. That's gotta hurt. As Guy Gagne, he's struggling to get back to the pits. This may be a day done for the number 90. He did get completely ramped over. As that's gotta sting. As here comes Dorian Pin trying to go around the outside of Zilic, who's trying to hang on. Teammate Guy Gagne gonna drop out. As we're gonna have to... David Malukas and Glubler came in way earlier than they should have. That's gonna be interesting to see if they can make it to the end on one stop, as Zilic now under attack from Dorian Pin. Around the outside. Pin's gonna hang on, and Dorian Pin is going to take the lead as Jacob Abel in 3rd now. Callum Ilott 4th, Louis Foster down to 5th. So he's lost a good amount of spots. I believe his soft tires are really starting to struggle now. As Marcus Armstrong now in pit lane. So surprisingly, Shane Van Gisbergen hanging on quite well in 16th, but he is not going to have many friends. That's something that you didn't see much of Season 1, Van Gisbergen. As we have another collision, David Malukas and Stingray Robb. Stingray Robb once again. David Malukas second in the championship. Or sorry, third. But, man, that is interesting. And, boom. Contact tried going up the inside as we have another one in trouble. Louis Foster this time, and Van Gisbergen's going to join him. Tires are struggling now. Louis Foster loses it in the sequence just before the backstretch. And suddenly it's falling apart for Swindlers besides Dorian Pin, who is up by 3 seconds on the hard tires. Oh man, chaos is breaking loose as everyone is coming in now, except for Callum Ilott, who is going to take the lead. I believe this may be the first few laps that 18 Aggressive Bees have led, as Catherine Legg now in trouble. She is slow with damage as she is limping to pit road. Dorian Pin exiting with a 6-second pit stop. Connor Zilic 6.4 as Louis Foster has had an issue once again. Or sorry, he's also struggling. A lot of cars struggling to make it back. These soft tires were a bad choice. Brendan Hubbard and Ethan Martz also in pit lane. But a lot of cars having issues as Callum Ilott leads 3.5 seconds over Robbie, 4 seconds over Barnhart. Dorian Pin cycles out 11th. In clean air, Stingray Robb has a second spin with David Malukas. There is a lot to unpack that just happened right there. Whoa. So 3.2 seconds between these two. Dorian Pin as Van Gisbergen, I think, actually jumped Zilic as Foster. I'm not quite sure what happened to him besides a spin. So maybe there was contact with him. I don't think we can check now. We may just have to go back after the race to review some of this. But that is not good for Louis Foster. He just got his way up in points with a win at Suzuka. But it is going poorly. Robbie Lohr trying to hold off Gale Barnhart. Right now, your biggest mover, Benjamin Peterson, up 13 spots in P8. Currently stuck behind Chet Jordan in 7th. He has teammate Alessio Deletto right behind him. Motorland Aragon not holding any punches as Dorian Pin, the car that I think she needs to protect from, she's 5 seconds up the road from. Zilic down in P13, she's in 11th. So right now it looks like it is in her favor if she can hang on to it, as Zilic is going to get by Van Gisbergen, who has stayed out, as Robbie is getting passed by Gale Barnhart. Everyone is just struggling on these tires. Tire wear, a massive factor at this moment. Benjamin Peterson side by side with Chet Jordan trying to get by for P7. Barnhart trying to chase down Ilott for currently P1, but I think the real battle for P1 is back here as Chet Jordan is actually going to get a run off the turns and get by Benjamin Peterson. A lot of these cars on mediums, they're just trying to stretch it. I think the hards are the way to go. So I'm a little confused on why Dorian Pin pit so early. What tires is she on now? Oh, she is on softs. Uh-oh. Swindlers of the Immortals. This may be horrific bag fumble. Yeah, after the race, we're going to need to see what happened to Catherine Legg and Louis Foster, because both of them having some kind of difficulty. Just going to have to go back after and review. But Robbie now trying to size up a pass to get by Barnhart again. All the way out in the marbles. That may have been why Peterson lost his spot. Trying to go by Jordan being out in the marbles. You see him now. He can just clear now as Deletta is way out in the marbles. As Raghunathan's going to try to get by side up towards the start-finish straight. And Raghunathan is ahead. Calamile at 3.4 second lead. Dorian Pin on the hard tires, but is 4 seconds up the road from Zilich, but coming up on slower cars of Deletta and Raghunathan. Glubler has also pit, and he's currently in third out of the cars that have pit, but he pit really early. David Malukas pitting again, or is this his first time? I think this is his second time, so he's already coming in again. This is really interesting, and this is where crew, aggression, and skill come together. Try to work through the strategy. This could be a two-stop race if it needs to be. As Robbie trying to go around the outside of Barnhart, but he is defending well, planting himself in the middle of the track. As Dorian Pin has caught the slower cars, can she carve her way through? Up the inside of Deletta. Should be easy. And she's going to get that, so she's now into the top 10. But Connor Zilich not far behind. Looking for his first good result. He is on medium, so he may be able to make it to the end, but might be a struggle as Pin goes around the outside of Raghunathan. Makes it look easy. She's really trying to carve her way through these cars. She was 20 seconds down, now she's only 17. So she is gaining time. But is it enough, especially with those hards? Are they sustainable? And I don't think they are. So this may have been a blunder for her to pit so soon on the hard tires. I don't know if it was out of just panic with their other two cars spinning out and having issues, or what. As Guy Gagné is leaving the pits, I don't know how many laps down he is. 6 laps down. That's pretty rough. But he is definitely not going to be happy about that. It was a good run up to that moment. Something just completely out of his control. Van Gisbergen loses it and wipes him out. Barnhart still holding off Robbie. Calamilot comfortably leading. Dorian Pin not making quite the headway that she'd want, but she's now all over Chet Jordan, who she should be able to get by. As Jacob Abel has passed Glubler for P13, which could be third on this strategy. Actually, yes, it is third on those who have pit so far. The points leader, Shane Van Gisbergen, finds himself in trouble. And so far this season, it just seems like the points lead that nobody wants to have. As immediately after, it seems like you get cursed. Robbie had a bad result at Suzuka. Sonoda was nowhere at Sandown. Right now, Sonoda running P4, right behind Robbie. This could be a good points day for Robbie. If all goes well. Right now, due to traffic, Pin's not gaining the time that she needs. Really gotta get by Chet Jordan here. But these hard tires starting to go. They'll go around the outside. Gonna get the position quite easily. As 10 laps to go. Will she be able to make it to the end? Callum Ilott, how long can he go? 18 aggressive Bs. Their first time leading a race. Connor Zilic now starting to get through these cars. Into the top 10. 4 seconds back on Pin. Needs to find more time out of it. He wants to get back into this. Ilott, 3-second lead on Barnhart. On strategy B, which is those that have not pit. There's your stint length between the top 10. As Louis Foster leaves the pits, but he's going to be many laps down. Going to be battling with basically Guy Gagné for about 1 point. That is your top 10 on where they stand strategy-wise. As look at this, Sonoda trying to go up the inside of Robbie. Which lane is going to prevail? And it seems like Sonoda is going to be the one who gets it. The blue is those who have pit. Pin is the leader of this group. She's gaining some time now. 10 laps to go. Callum Ilott still leading. As Yuki Tsunoda now onto what is the podium places. And Dorian Pin is going to pit now. Those soft tires did not last. And that is going to sting for Swindlers of the Immortals. With most cars having not pit, that is a bad strategy call. And I could have seen it from many laps away. That's got to be brutal. A lot of these cars haven't even pit once yet. Like Callum Ilott has not pit. Dorian Pin luckily will have clean air, but right now she's looking at just trying to battle for a top 5. Assuming these cars have to pit, considering how much Callum Ilott is dirt tracking it, he may need to very soon. Ethan Mart's going to enter pit lane. Going to be his first of the day. So right now Zilic leading on strategy B. So he may end up a winner if these mediums hang on. As Robbie now making a pass for currently 3rd. Good job by Robbie. Gotta get done as Glubler trying to go by Abel and Deletta. Because he's now at what looks to be 2nd place. If he can hang on, he's on the mediums. Would be a good result for the Magenta Trees. Have had a really rough start to the season. Lindsey Brewer is in, so first of these leaders that haven't pit. Gonna have to see if staying out longer pays off. He's gonna come out about 14th. That's actually not that bad. Marcus Armstrong gonna have to come in again. So he also could not be able to make it. Dorian Pin really going to need to lay down some good lap times to try to get any sort of result out of it. Callum Ilott still doing well up at the front. 2.4 seconds now is the gap. He does have a car in the way. I believe that is the 95 of Ethan Martz. Currently acting as kind of a protective barrier. Stingray Rob, Brennan Hubbard pitting now. David Malukas going to have to pit. I believe this is his 3rd time. Yikes. Robbie trying to go by Barnhart. He has been trying this for many laps now to no result. So can Callum Ilott make it? It's a tall task, but it's not enough. He's coming in now. Barnhart, Robbie, Sonoda, they all follow. Priest. He's going to follow now. Everyone coming in who hasn't, except for Connor Zilic, who appears to be the one who is able to survive the chaos. Jordan is in. Abel got by Glubler. This is the battle for P2. Everyone who hasn't pit coming in now. There's nothing left in it. As Glubler and Abel battle for P2. Callum Ilott going to come out P4. A lot of the cars that haven't pit are going to benefit to great degrees. Dorian Pin only going to come out P9. That is quite interesting. Right now, Lindsay Brewer looking at her first top 10 finish of the season. Definitely the little randomized boost in qualifying help, but a lot of people's misfortune gonna align for her as well. Connor Zilic up by 8.7 seconds on Jacob Abel, who's trying to hang on to P2. Miles Rowe entering pit lane. He had to come in after the first lap, after contact with Stingray Rob. As Jacob Abel really trying to defend P2. So right now, Gale Barnhart on for his best result of the season. Robbie may be looking at taking over the points lead if it stays as it is. Glubler gonna have his best result of the season. A lot of guys in for really good results. Brewer looking at a good result. Sonoda finally back into the top 10. Dorian Pin, that's just a blunder from Swindlers of the Immortals. Their next car is Shane Van Gisbergen in 14th, which that's going to be a tough pill to swallow, but that was completely driver error. I'm surprised he's even still in this, considering he drove over another car. I believe that is Guy Gagné right in front of him. Yeah. Connor Zilic got by the lapped car of Stingray Rob, who is one lap down, so if a yellow flag were to happen, he would be the lucky dog. But I do not believe that is the case. Rookie Connor Zilic looks all aligned for his first win. If I'm him, I just let Stingray Rob go by. I don't think he's got any pressure. The only thing that may have a little bit of pressure is this podium battle as Callum Ilott closing in. It's been a rough start for 18 aggressive Bs so far. But this has been a very good effort for Callum Ilott, making the tires last. I think this could all end well. Shane Van Gisbergen still charging up through the field. P13 now. Just got by Alessio Deletta. As Guy Gagné entering pit lane again, so yeah, rough time for that 90 team, but luckily it's looking good for Connor Zilic, but the battle for the podium is on, and any point matters. Here's 4 cars. Abel, Glubler, Ilott, and Barnhart. Barnhart has one top 10 this season. Ilott has one top 10. Abel has finished top 10 every race so far, so he's going to be pretty high up in points. But Callum Ilott might be too hard to fend off. He's going to go up the inside of Glubler. Glubler's going to have the good defensive line when it comes to this kink. He's going to stay ahead, and Ilott's going to nearly give up the position to Barnhart. Robbie, he's in the picture, and I think he's looking at your points leader after this race. Could be a double Lore Brother top 10 as Ilot now battles Barnhart. Left the door open. Barnhart's on the softs. Can he hang on to the end on these tires? I think he should be okay. If he was able to make it last earlier, then he should be able to make it last now. Jacob Abel looking at a P2 right now. Glubler P3 as this group is really starting to bunch up. As Dorian Pinn battling Lindsey Brewer for P8. Here comes Barnhart up the inside of Ilot once again. This is a tricky section to get by cleanly. Again, this is where we saw Van Gisbergen hip check Guy Gagné, then ramp over him. Glubler's going to try to go the long way around. Barnhart going to try to follow Glub. They're 2x2. And who's going to benefit side by side? Barnhart will just barely stay ahead of Robbie as Dorian Pinn did get by Lindsey Brewer for P8. Glubler now looking at second, but now he's battling Callum Ilott, and then he's going to be too hard to handle as Glubler's going to lose 2 positions. Ilott and Barnhart sneak by. Gail Barnhart showing signs of strength that Silly Men Racing really wanted to see out of him. Currently P4. Callum Ilott looking set for 18 Aggressive B's first podium. There's still 4 laps to hang on to it though. Connor Zilich in his own little dimension at this point as Marcus Armstrong gonna have to pit again. That's gonna hurt him as here goes Gail Barnhart once again. As his teammate pits, he's going to make it up the third. Can he handle these soft tires to the end? He could be going for second here as Malukas is pitting for a 4th time. What has happened to that 25 car? But Barnhart, he's going to try to go for it. Callum Ilott gonna follow. And Gail Barnhart is now up into P2, gets by Jacob Abel. An impressive performance by the 42. He's just got 3 laps to bring it home. Can he get it done? There's a lapped car of David Malukas up ahead, having a lot of difficulty. 4 pit stops in 1 race. Something quite bizarre. Jacob Abel now, he's just trying to hang on to a podium as Ethan Martz and Catherine Legg go off track. They're really far off track. Both of them have an issue. What happened here? Oh. So, somehow... Oh, that is just a weird collision. And Callum Ilott gets by Jacob Abel. We're watching on the replay. Going down into the section where Martz and Legg just went off. And he's going to dive up the inside. And that's just fresh tires beating those old tires. Callum Ilott gets away. As now Glubler trying to fend off his brother. Robbie in the softs. As Dorian Pinn has arrived. Two laps to go. Gail Barnhart up and away as Robbie's now P5. Glubler's dropped down to 6th, so pitting early has not worked out in his favor. This is a little cluster of cars. Jacob Abel, he's just trying to hang on to whatever he can now. as Alessio Deletta has entered pit lane for some reason. And he came in with a lot of these guys, so still tire concerns. This track may be just the tire shredder, as Callum Ilott has caught Gale Barnhart, who I can only assume is struggling on these softs. Just make it to the end now. You'll be okay. Easier said than done, however. Ilott, he's going to be looking up for a pass. Going down the straight. As Barnhart desperately trying to hang on. As Zilich takes the white flag. Ilott not able to get by. He is trying to watch this opportunity as Robbie now looking at P4. Dorian Pin trying to go around Glubler. It's going to be on the good line, is going to get ahead. Barnhart trying to hang off as Glubler not able to make it. He's going to pit early. Oh no, that's gotta hurt. But that does show that there is a chance that these guys may not be able to make it one more lap, but it is the white flag. So if they do pit now, not gonna lose a lot of spots, but it still hurt regardless. Connor Zilich, even though everyone in front of him just kind of wiped each other out on their own volition. He is the survivor. 11.5 seconds up the road. Barnhart trying to trying to defend from Ilott. This is the battle for the podium. As Connor Zilich down the backstretch one final time. Rookie driver. He is able to hang on. And he is going to get his first career win in Spain at Motorland Aragon in an amazing drive. Viking Racing's first since Road America last season. Barnhart is going to hang on to second. Callum Ilott going to take third. Robbie fourth. Dorian Pin will get a top 5 out of it. Abel 6th. Sonoda 7th. Priest 8th. Brewer 9th. Best result of the season. And then 10th Peterson. Van Gisbergen a disappointing 11th. But in all honesty, that's not bad considering what happened to him this race. Even though it was kind of his fault. Unofficial results scrolling across the top. Connor Zilich, 12-second advantage over Barnhart, who will get the best result for Silly Men Racing this season. As the results scroll across the top, before we look at the final results, we're just going to have to go back and check out what exactly happened to Louis Foster and Catherine Legg that put them so far behind. There's definitely more to those stories. They had tumultuous days, but I didn't see exactly what made them. We're gonna very non-professionally scroll back. So this is lap 8. We're gonna try to see when something goes wrong. She's P9 currently. Is there any sort of contact as... Is this it? Yes, that is it. Louis Foster and Catherine Legg come together. Foster loses it. Teammate, luckily, doesn't crash into him, but he just loses it on the marbles. And then we're going to go back as well to just see what happened here on the onboard. So dive bomb up the inside. Both on medium tires, so no advantage, and then just loses it. That is very amateur. And for season champion, you would have expected better. Here's the chopper, so you can kind of see the lines. Van Gisbergen way on the inside. This is Gagne's corner at this point. He's just going to dive it in and then tag him in the rear, and that's why the halo exists. But these cars, you don't really need it. But yeah, that is going to put Van Gisbergen behind as Connor Zilic gets his first career win. And that's much needed as he was kind of struggling points wise. As Gail Barnhart will be P2, that is a good result for Silly Men Racing. Callum Ilott will take P3 with 18 aggressive B's first podium. Robbie Lohr, I assume, will go back into the points lead with a 4th place finish. Dorian Pin, a solid result in 5th, but definitely more in the tank. 6th will be Jacob Abel in his best result. 7th, Yuki Tsunoda. 8th will be Ryan Preece in a quiet but pretty solid result. Lindsey Brewer, best result of the season. A little bit of a benefit from qualifying, but that's nothing to worry about. Benjamin Peterson, a good drive, will take P10. That is about where he finishes nearly every race, however. So maybe he's not going to be too happy about that. Van Gisbergen definitely going to be disappointed. Has not been able to convert a single one of his poles. He'll be 11th with Chet Jordan and 12th with a quiet day. Raghunathan, also a quiet day. He'll be P13, which he's actually done pretty solidly, consistently throughout that 10-15 spot. Just really needs to figure out qualifying. Um, Globler Lord will take P14. Alessio Deletta 15th after late pit stops. Brendan Hubbard 16th, and then Marcus Armstrong last car on the lead lap in 17th. And then all your cars that had some sort of issue. Ethan Martz in the early collision. Miles Rowe also in the early collision, 18th, 19th. David Malukas had some sort of issue, pitting 4 times. Will be 20th. Stingray Robb spun himself out in the first turn. He'll be 21st. And then Louis Foster, Catherine Legband, the collision. They'll finish 22nd and 24th, respectively. Then Guy Gagné, not going to be a happy camper in the garages. So that is it here at Aragon, and that is going to conclude the international leg of the season. Up next is a little southern swing as we go down to Braselton, Georgia for Road Atlanta, which will be followed by VIR for Virginia. And then after that, race 7. It's the Indy 300, so a lot to get excited for. Season is just getting underway, so I'll see you at qualifying for Road Atlanta on Friday. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you next time.